Nanotechnology has a deep connection with Braga, and the International Iberian Nanotechnology Laboratory, INL, is an important part of that journey. How has the ecosystem boosted this area through startups? In this 10x Forward episode, we take a closer look at the story of RUBYnanomed.
Hi Lorena, how are you?
I'm all right, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. So we were just talking to each other and saying that basically somehow your adventure as an entrepreneur started here, right?
It did, yeah, between Startup Braga and INL.
Yeah.
And it was around the time that you started working at INL.
Yes, I started working in 2017, and actually one of my first tasks was to support the Startup Nano project. That was let's say a joint collaboration between INL and the Startup Braga, and where you enter as an entrepreneur, and you end up the program being exactly a founder of a company, right? RUBYnanomed.
Yeah, it was a crazy story because back in the day I was a researcher at INL. I was working on development of technologies for healthcare, and we actually had just finished a proof of concept of our technology, and we had done some clinical testing on our devices, and we had seen that it was actually working very well. And just at that time, several entrepreneurship programs started in Portugal, the Resolve program at I3S, but also the Startup Nano program at INL, and we were just kind of checking whether our technology was good enough to be able to embark on an entrepreneurship journey.
Sure.
And so the Startup Nano program was indeed very interesting for us because we had absolutely no idea about what business was.
I think that it gave you more or less the knowledge that probably you didn't have at that time related to the managing a company and so on. Because
no knowledge whatsoever.
The technical part for sure, you were very, very knowledge of that, right?
Well, we didn't know what a business model was. We didn't know the first thing about starting a company, let alone about going to market or fundraising or looking for customers. Absolutely no idea.
And the fact that Startup Nano, was focused on nanotechnology, but mainly on high-tech companies, I think that this was also a game changer, because most of the times we are used to see companies that were not high-tech companies. But at some point we understood that supporting high-tech companies would allow to create value in the market and society. So I think that this was also a game changer, and Startup Braga was also quite supportive on this.
We had several companies that were with us in the accelerator program that were working on very diverse type of businesses, including marketplaces and so on. But the fact of us working on science-based companies needed of some information that was very specific for us. So understanding how to translate technologies with high-end to the market needed a little bit of this, information on industrialization, information on quality standards, information on performance and so on, that we could only get from these very good synergies between INL.
I recall that most of the mentors were coming from outside. They had a lot of experience, right? I think that this was also a very strong point in the Startup Nano project. And also the fact that somehow we managed to bring companies, or at least entrepreneurs from outside. You remember that we had a Swedish entrepreneur that came to Startup Nano project. Yourself, you are Spanish, so we can say that somehow we were able to capture your attention, and working here in the city of Prague. I think that this was also a strong point for
I think it was a stepping stone. I think it was a stepping stone for the collaboration between INL, Startup Braga, but also the City Council, and perhaps it brought us to the awards that the city got in this last year.
Yeah, true.
So,
and talking about awards, you also got a very important award, being nominated as Human
European Woman Innovator,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, look, it's always a pleasure to be nominated for awards. I mean, if I have to summarize our journey, starting from the scientific background, entering Startup Nano and then Startup Braga, many other accelerators at European level, but also in the US, in Germany, and so on and so forth through the years. Getting the first awards, because we won the first award on the Startup Nano program, and then we were nominated for an award also here, and several others and so on. Fast forward, the company is now 6 years old, and so you don't go to accelerators anymore. But having a European recognition on companies that are led by women, that was a fantastic achievement, and it certainly gave us a push of energy, not only to myself, but also to Sarah and Paulina, that are co-founders of the company, and we went together, we applied together for this award, and we were nominated as finalists. So there were supposed to be 3 finalists, and in our case, we were 5 finalists because the 3 of us were one of the 3. Unfortunately, we didn't win the award, but we were delighted anyway with the nomination.
Yeah, nevertheless, you can say that it's from Braga to the world, or at least to Europe, right? Because it's a European prize, and we managed to succeed very well.
I guess in a couple of years, hopefully, we will be able to apply again and maybe win and bring the award back to Braga, hopefully. Let's see.
Yeah. Very good. So, but it's also important to say that at least this combination or collaboration between me University, INL, and Startup Braga, it was, as you said before, a stepping stone in the ecosystem, allowing, for instance, to build this investment fund to support startups, right? Some of them were supported, and actually they are having quite a lot of success. They were supported in the beginning by INL. For instance, I remember Chemitech.
Yeah.
They were also supported by the SBS Fund, and nowadays they are rocking. So it's also
they are doing
story.
Really well.
Yeah.
So the good thing about nanotechnology is that it's very diverse, it's very transversal. So we are not talking about one technology only. It can be applied to biotech, it can be applied to pharmacy, it can be applied to, I don't know, devices, engines, cars, rocket science as well. So it can be applied to anything.
Food, whatever.
Absolutely.
Probably I can ask you, what is the current situation nowadays with RUBYnanomed?
Well, we've come a long way, I think I have to say. Look, when we started, we really only had a technology that was pretty much artisan technology. We had to fabricate.
Working in the lab, right? But
we keep working in the lab, but
at the technology was.
The technology was working in the lab, yes, but we needed to bring it to the real environment. Yeah. At this stage, we have tested the technology in 10 different types of cancers with real clinical samples. We have been collaborating with hospitals in Portugal, in Spain, but also in the whole of Europe. We have been now starting collaborations with hospitals in the US. We have automated completely the procedure, so we no longer fabricate the cartridges ourselves. We have been working with different foundries to be able to scale up the fabrication, to do mass manufacturing and to lower the prices while keeping up the, the robustness of the devices improved. We have been selling for researchers only and doing services for research since 2021.
It's a milestone for sure in a company.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we are getting ready, because we just finished our quality management system, which is important for obtaining the ISO standards to be able to submit for regulatory approval. Yeah.
And it's also important to say that nowadays you are 8 or 10, a team of 8 or 10?
We are 10 people. We are 10 people in the company. Yeah, between the founders and the employees. And we need to keep growing, of course. We need to hire at least 3 more employees now during 2024. We are changing facilities as well. We have just installed our new prototypes that are now very pretty, but most importantly that they are being able to process the full or to do the full procedure automatically, which is very important to ensure that the results are reproducible.
Yes, the throughput,
And hopefully we are able to submit a self-declaration to get regulatory approval by summertime.
That's fantastic.
Big things are coming.
Yeah. I hope that in the future, or at least looking today at INL, we have also some startup companies growing, and hopefully they will be able to keep your pace and as much success as RUBYnanomed has been having. So I would say that probably the best way for us to achieve this or to support these companies is actually to continue this partnership with Startup Braga and building the ecosystem that has been created so far.
So promoting innovation in nanotechnology is promoting innovation in many different ways.
Yeah.
And indeed some of the companies that came out or that at some point were supported by this ecosystem are doing really, really well.
Yeah. So I think that it was a very important move and I think that the City Council made a very good bet in the sense that actually today we see the investment that was done in the beginning taking profit.
You have to be patient in these things, and what happens is, of course, if you're working on new businesses that are not backed up by science, the development is much faster. In our case, normally we require higher investments.
True.
And we have a longer turnaround time. So this can sound a little bit risky, but it's necessary that the investors in this field understand that these let's say high risk, high gain type of investment that oftentimes, despite requiring a little bit more effort at the beginning, can certainly produce better and at the end.
Now that you mentioned this and thinking about the future, what do you think that would be important to have a better ecosystem, let's say? For instance, you were talking about these high-tech companies have different needs compared to other entrepreneurs and other new ventures. For instance, we talk a lot about the need to have incubation space specifically dedicated for biotech companies, for instance.
Yeah, there's a lot of work still to be done, and indeed, I think spaces that are dedicated is something that is a major need by the community. We see how when specialized companies are born, at the beginning they may have the opportunity of being incubated in the university laboratories or in our case at INL laboratories, but as you grow, you need a dedicated space. And there's, if you go to the US and you go to places like Boston or to MIT, of course there's plenty of space for incubation. Yeah. The ecosystem is ready to uptake those companies and to allow them to thrive. Closer by you can go to Barcelona, and there's also plenty of scientific parks where companies can also coexist with universities so that they can have this symbiosis, right? So that they can feed on one another and thrive. We don't have that here, but I think the City Council is aware, Startup Braga is aware, and hopefully they are building the foundation towards having something that in the next couple of years could, let's say, absorb those companies and support them to allow them to grow. Because otherwise, the jump between being incubated and supported by the university to be alone, let's say, building your own company is not, it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that looking also to the future, it would be important to look to the past, see what we have done with success, and try to replicate this again.
Yeah,
and
learn from the mistakes.
The startup also, but the Startup Nano and even the Fuel program that was mainly a combination between, or a collaboration between INL and Startup Braga, was quite successful, I would say, and therefore we should think about planning new opportunities like the ones that we have done in the past.
Yeah, I think that one has to look at well, first of all, each company is different from the other, and of course when they are from different sectors, their needs are going to be radically different. So it's important to understand the common ground, but also the particularities of each company. And then there's going to be different, let's say, degrees of maturity. So most of the programs of the accelerators that we have seen are focused on early stage companies. I mean, helping individuals to create their companies, or helping scientists to create companies if they have innovative ideas.
Give them some instruments to...
And give them instruments to understand, to give them all those tools and information that they didn't have from the business sector and so on. But then there's other kind of support that is needed, 2 years later,
Investment?
4 years later. Investment for sure.
Because I think that this is something that the ecosystem needs to care about.
Well, so in Portugal, people say that we cannot complain about investment because there's a lot of funds that are available, but they're more or less not really specialized funds. So a little bit of a specialization when you move to later stages is necessary. So for early stages, for sure, let's say those agnostic investments make sense. But as you're moving forward, you really need to have dedicated and specialized investment. In our particular case at RUBYnanomed, we are working in vitro diagnostics, and the particularities of the healthcare sector are just too specific to receive investment from funds that are not specialized.
They're agnostic, that's true, yeah.
Because, I mean, we are talking about clinical trials, we are talking about entering a highly regulated industry, through regulatory approval, but also reimbursement, national entry, so many things that you really need to have an investor that is well-versed in that sector to be able to understand your needs and to be able to support you moving forward. And if we can fit from the experience of the old guys,
yeah, that's true.
if we can be helpful in any way, that would be great.
Yeah.